Hi there everyone, I'm Josiah from Womp Creations, and this week I'm going to be modifying this BB gun into this Star Wars blaster. So originally the plan was to modify a Nerf gun and repaint it to look like a Star Wars blaster, but the shelves were kind of picked clean of Nerf guns. I couldn't find one that I liked, so I grabbed a BB gun. Yeah, so I am not going to leave this usable. I'm going to modify this to the point where it's not going to be usable as a BB gun. But that's okay because I don't have any real use for a BB gun, so that's fine. So the first thing I started with was finding just a general shape that I liked. I do actually really like the wood coloring on this plastic, so I'm probably going to leave that. But this gold is way too garish for me. It's way too yellow and I'm not a fan of it. So that's going to change for sure. You know, I don't have much of a plan for this in my head. I have a few things that I know that I'm going to do, but we're just going to kind of go with it and see where it takes us. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start with removing the rear sight and the front sight because I know I don't want those. So I'm going to take those off and then start planning some stuff out. So I can't really tell how these are attached. So I'm just going to start playing with stuff until, oh, there we go. Something comes loose. That was surprisingly easy. Now, this one, I don't know if it's going to be that easy. So I'm just going to start pulling on it and see what starts to give. Doesn't look... Looks like there's almost a lip that goes in. Alright, so now that I got the sights off, I think what I'm going to do next is, you know what, I told you I like this wood, but I don't want to keep this wood here. I want to kind of extend this section out this way. But they have the actual wood grain cast into these plastic pieces. So I'm going to have to fill that, and for that I am going to use a little bit of glazing putty or spot putty. I don't remember which term I've been using, but it's all the same thing. Alright, now I don't want to use too much glazing putty because the more that I use, the more that I have to sand later, and this is a very subtle pattern that they have on there, so it doesn't take much. So I want to make sure to scrape as much of it away as I can. That way it's just what's inside those tiny little grooves that gets left behind. Alright, now that my spot putty is drying, I need to get out my greeblies because I need to dress this thing up. Alright. I told you guys I was going to find a use for these. If you don't know, this is from one of a scrap from one of my other builds. I'll put it up above. You can click on it to watch it. You should go watch it. It's a good video. But let me tell you what I grabbed. I got some T-track, these styrene T-tracks that I picked up at my local hobby shop. Some strip styrene that I'm going to be cutting up into some different shapes. This section of chrome pipe and a PVC fitting. It's probably not all that I'm going to use, but I know I'm going to use this stuff. So first things first, I'm gonna start cutting out some shapes for my styrene. Alright guys, my greeblies are all on, at least the ones that are going on at the moment, which means it's time for everyone's favorite part of any build. Masking. Luckily for you guys, it'll happen in a snap. Okay, so the masking wasn't that bad on this part. It will be later. This part wasn't very bad. All I had to do was mask off the majority of the buttstock. But I didn't go all the way down, and the reason why, I don't know if you can really tell with the lighting, but this buttstock has raised numbers on it. It has something to do with the model or the brand or something like that. But I don't want those to be there. So I'm going to attempt to grind down the letters with my Dremel and then paint it. Now it's attached with 2 screws, so I'm actually going to remove it to make it easier to paint. That's why I didn't mask all the way up to this part. This feels like really thin plastic, so I'm really hoping that I don't grind completely through. If I do, we can fix it, but that's just going to be another time delay. So I need to take that off. There we go. Felt like there was some glue in with those screws. There's one. Come on. There we go. All right. Oh, there we go. All right. So, next order of business, grind 1866 off. It's kind of like order 66. All right, successfully sanded off. Oh, dirty. All right, I successfully sanded off the numbers. Now I'm going to leave this unattached so that I can paint it separately, and I'm going to paint the entirety of the front end of the rifle flat black. Now it's not all going to stay flat black, but in the areas that it's not, it's going to make a nice base layer. And I'm sure you guys who have watched my other videos know where I'm going with that. All right, this is looking a whole lot better. That gold was just terrible. But I am really liking this. But there is one more step in assembly, and that is the front end. I'm not just going to leave it like this. Now, I told you guys always save your scraps, and that is exactly why I am going to be using this. This is a scrap left over from my lightsaber build, and I'm going to be using it, but I'm going to modify it a little bit. I'm going to drill a couple holes into it so that it looks like a compensator on the front of a rifle. So I'm gonna take care of that, and then I'm gonna glue it on, and then we just have a little bit more dressing up to do. But other than that, this build is coming to an end pretty quickly. All right, guys, it is time for weathering, and as you can see, I wrapped part of my blaster rifle with a strip of leather. It just felt right to me, but now on to weathering. So I busted out my silver paint pen, which you guys are pretty familiar with, some paints for washes, and I'm also getting out something that I haven't shared with you guys yet. This is a Tamiya weathering pack. It's essentially, it's actually kind of a lot like a makeup set. I don't know. I don't use makeup, but I've seen things very similar to this in my bathroom from my wife. So I'm assuming she's not weathering her face. No, my wife is very beautiful. Honey, if you're watching this, I'm just putting my foot in my mouth, so don't pay attention. But these are essentially just like a compact powder that you can use the included brush with to rub some on and then rub it onto a surface. So I think I'm going to be using this for the buttstock because I want to weather that a little bit. It's already pretty dark, but I need some more color variation in there. So I'm gonna get started with the paint pen, and we'll see how it goes from there. All right, guys, I am calling it. It is done, finished. It's done. I actually really like this. I think it came out really nice. It's not overly complicated, which is what I was afraid of doing. But yeah, no, I think it strikes a nice balance of not crazy, but definitely doesn't look like just a normal BB gun, especially the one we started out with. That gold was disgusting. I had a ton of fun making this, and I hope you guys got something from it. If you get inspired to take on your own custom rifle build or modification like this one, I would love to see it. Tag us in it on Instagram or Facebook, Womprat Creations, and that way I could see it. I would love to see what you guys are building. As always, thank you guys for all of your support. If you haven't already, check out our Patreon page. It'll be down in the description. It is a great way for you to continue to support the channel, and it allows me to give you guys some cool stuff in return. Also, if you did enjoy today's video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the little bell right next to it so you don't miss anything. We are coming out with a new series that's going to come out every Wednesday. It is a show and tell, and then we come out with a build video every Friday. You can also follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date on what's going on in the shop. And you can also check us out at wompratcreations.com, link in the description. There's some cool stuff there for you too. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.